At 10 o'clock in the morning on January 13th, 1920, Orville Wright was examined in a courtroom near his home and birthplace of Dayton, Ohio. Orville Wright is asked by the defendant, when and under what circumstances did you and Wilbur Wright first become interested in the problem of flight? Orville replied honestly and calmly, our first interest began when we were children. Ever since the Wright brothers became the first in flight in December of 1903, the world was skeptical, as were other aeronautical figures also pursuing flight. Although we give credit to Wilbur and Orville Wright for pioneering aviation, it took decades to carry out legal matters and patents to their designs that placed their work at the forefront of history. Achieving flight was not enough. They had to defend their accomplishments as well. Father brought home to us a small toy actuated by a rubber spring which would lift itself into the air, Orville responded. We built a number of copies of this toy, which flew successfully. He explained that when the two attempted to build the toy at a larger scale, the object failed to fly. Orville expressed that in 1896, he and his brother began reading about Otto Lilienthal. Lilienthal, Orville stated, was making some gliding flights from the top of a small hill in Germany. His death a few months later, Orville noted, while making a glide off the hill, increased our interest in the subject, and we began looking for books pertaining to flight. After Orville and Wilbur became interested in flight again in 1899, they requested information from the Smithsonian. We knew the Smithsonian Institution had been interested in some work on the problem of flight, Orville stated, and accordingly, on the 30th of May, 1899, my brother Wilbur wrote a letter to the Smithsonian inquiring about publications on the subject. Several days later, the Wrights received a letter from the Smithsonian Institution enclosing lists of all the works related to aerial navigation and pamphlets on the matter of flight that have been published by the Smithsonian. After this, as we know it, the rest was history. It is common for historians and engineers to argue not if the Wright brothers achieved flight, but rather how they achieved flight and when. The evidence and lack of other inventors and engineers proclaiming and providing to accomplish manned flight all points to Orville and Wilbur Wright. Their work is unprecedented for early 20th century aviation and still contributes to the engineering of aircraft today. So, I think the question should not be how or when the Wright brothers pioneered flight, but why. There are a lot of arguments that can be made about the origins of the Wright brothers and their desire to confront the problem of flight, but Orville's testimony in 1920 is as strong of a case we may ever have.